Steven Espinoza, the man who some boxing fans have affectionately named the Weasel, has suggested that he's not entirely convinced that Bob Arum actually wants to make the Deontay Wilder-Tyson Fury rematch. I'm going to quote I'm going to quote Espinoza directly here. He says, "Conceptually and theoretically, it's very possible. The question is one of intent, because I've heard Arum say that there are other fights he's interested in, Crawford Spence or Lomachenko Garcia, and he's done nothing to advance those. Not a single phone call, not a single attempt to make those fights other than talking about them publicly. So really, it's not difficult, and I do believe Arum wants it. If he says it, until he proves differently, I'll believe it. But what would be more convincing than him saying it is to actually act on it and take steps to make those fights happen, whether it's the Fury rematch or any of the other big fights." Espinoza then goes on to talk about the Deontay Wilder-Dominic Breazeale fight. He says, "There will be some appreciation that this fight is not on pay-per-view, and that was important to Deontay. It required a financial commitment from our network, which we were happy to make, a significant financial commitment. But I think what some of the reaction will be is it creates obstacles towards getting the big fights. And certainly, if Deontay would have signed with one of these other platforms, maybe you might have seen one of those fights down the line. I don't think that it means that it will be that much harder to get a Fury rematch if Wilder is not with ESPN. It's still eminently doable. What this means is it's going to take some more work. Not that it's out of the question, but it's just going to take some additional negotiation." So there you have it. Those are the words of Steven Espinoza. Now, in regards to that second part, where he's talking about Wilder-Breazeale, he talks about a significant financial commitment from our network to make that fight happen outside of pay-per-view. So he's suggesting there that he's paying Deontay Wilder over the odds for this Dominic Breazeale fight in order to keep him on their network, in order to basically buy his loyalty. That's what he's suggesting. And again, it will be interesting to see what Deontay Wilder's being paid. And, you know, even if Deontay Wilder gets paid, let's say 20 million to fight Dominic Breazeale, if the show loses money, then that doesn't bode well for Deontay Wilder in terms of his hope of getting 50-50 against AJ. Because it's not just about how much you're being paid, it's about how much the shows are generating. Because nobody wants to pay a fighter, an opponent, okay? You've got your fighter, you've got an opponent. Nobody wants to pay the opponent over the odds if it means the show is going to tank and it's going to make a huge loss. Nobody wants to do that. Sometimes promoters do that in certain situations, but ideally nobody wants to do that. If they're going to have a big, giant fight, a pay-per-view bonanza, they want to make a big profit on it. Okay, not necessarily a pay-per-view bonanza these days. Now you've got DAZN who are willing to pay out big rights fees, but whatever the model you're going for, you don't want to be losing massive amounts on the show in one of these mega fights. If you're trying to establish yourself, if you're trying to get home advantage for your champion, for your fighter, maybe in his first world title fight, something like that, you might decide that it's worth taking a hit in the pocket in the short term to recoup and profit in the long term. But when it comes to these big fights like Joshua Wilder, Mayweather Pacquiao, etc., when it comes to these mega fights, you don't want to be making a loss. So surely it's the case that whoever puts on the Anthony Joshua Deontay Wilder fight, if that fight happens, hopefully it does, they're going to be looking to make sure that it's financially viable. They're not going to be looking to pay people over the odds if they don't think they can recoup that money and profit significantly from it. So anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you have sympathy with what Steven Espinoza is saying here about Bob Arum potentially not really wanting the Deontay Wilder-Tyson Fury rematch because he's talked about other fights that he's wanted, his fighters against Showtime fighters or Al Heyman fighters. He's talked about it publicly, but he's made no move at all, according to Espinoza, to make those fights happen. So, who's being real here? Who's being disingenuous? Let me know in the comment section below what your opinion is and something them out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.